here, and today is very special since I have reached 5 digits of subscribers! This is absolutely incredible, and I still can't believe I'm finally at this milestone after so many years. Leading up to 10k this previous week has been absolutely insane for me. I spontaneously composed an original song for Friendship is Tragic 2 for Scribbler, and that's the new intro theme for the series. I'm still so thrilled and honored to have composed an original song for one of my favorite productions. Go listen to it if you haven't already. I'll link it somewhere on screen. There. I've also got something else in the works music related that will show up at some point. Not saying what that is or whose channel that's on yet. Top secret. And more importantly, at the time of recording this, it's my birthday. Getting up to 10k subscribers on the same day I turned 27 is an amazing surprise for me. To think I started making content on his channel before I even turned 20 is insane. I also want to give a shout out to the amazing George Garza for animating my new intro for the channel. He does awesome show-like animations on his channel, so go check out his content. Now, back to the topic of this video. For a while I had a hard time trying to decide what to do for such a special occasion. Then I got the perfect idea. I'm going to be talking about 100 facts about my alternate universe, the Nistverse, which covers the Heart Shell, the Color Goddess, the Demon's Daughter, and all of the specials that appear in between. So because I'm going into a deep dive into my projects up until the 5th TDD Prequel, Spike the Canem, here is your spoiler warning. For everyone else who is caught up, enjoy the facts list.
Number 1. The first conception for the Heart Shell came around mid to late 2015, just as a short story of Rainbow missing Tank after the events of Tanks for the Memories. It wasn't until I was inspired by so many other audio dramas like Bride of Discord and Princess Trixie Sparkle that I decided to develop it into my own. Number 2. I decided to have Rainbow's personality a bit more vulnerable and soft, mainly due to the influence Tank has on her. The tortoise is able to bring out her softer, more sensitive side, and slowly help her come out of the tough shell she's put around herself, hence the title of the first audio drama. Of course, there was a little bit of negative influence on her too from Tenebrae. Number 3. I originally was going to have parody songs like Bride of Discord and Princess Trixie Sparkle until I got inspired by Daughter of Discord to go a more original route. Since I would be studying composition after I left high school, this was a great way to test my skills. Number 4. Though I try my best to compose original songs for my project, there has been one instance where I've had a parody song. During the THS Christmas special, Blue Streak sings a song called I Can Do This, which is a parody of Step 1 from Kinky Boots. P was the one that wanted to do it, and she wrote the parody lyrics to top it. But since this Christmas special isn't canon to the rest of the story, my streak of original songs still stands. Number 5. I spent most of my spare time in 2016 writing the story and composing the soundtracks. In fact, most of the soundtracks were already completed before I graduated high school. I even recorded my voice for all of the episodes by October 2016, up until I needed to rewrite a few things from episode 5. Number 6. I started production on episode 1 of the Heart Shell back in August of 2016. I didn't pick up production again until October, mainly because I wasn't confident about my art style. Number 7. Episode 1 of the Heart Shell would be the only episode of the Nistverse done entirely by myself. Art, voice acting, and everything else was done by me only. It wouldn't be till episode 2 when I would slowly get some new recruits for art. Number 8. The first episode of the Heart Shell took about 5 months to complete. It wasn't until episode 2 when I decided to have monthly releases. Come the Color Goddess's production, however, I decided to space out the release dates of my episodes. The longest hiatus would be for episodes 8 and 9 of the Color Goddess, with a total of 10 months and 15 days. That luckily was filled with 4 of the 5 10-minute prequel shorts that ran in between the 2 episodes. Number 9. It also wouldn't be till the Heart Shell episode 6 where I would have more voice actors helping me out, so before then I voiced everyone. Since it was mostly a female cast, the Heart Shell would be the only MLP audio drama without any male speaking characters, besides Spike. Number 10. From episodes 1 to 4 of the Heart Shell, I recorded my voice on my Surface Pro computer. From episode 5, I would re-record with Logic on my Mac. I would continue recording my voice there till episode 6 of The Demon's Daughter, since after I recorded lines for that episode, I would receive a new microphone, courtesy of one of the newer projects I joined, Elements of Justice. Number 11. In my Surface Pro computer days, I actually recorded in my family's caravan, mainly because I didn't want anyone walking in whilst I was recording. Come 1 year later in 2018, when my sister left for her university course, my recording studio was back in the house with my Logic Pro X. Number 12. My favourite part about voice acting in my productions is getting to voice really emotional scenes, hence why I wrote so many of them. What's really funny is that even if I do voice crying scenes as Rainbow Dash or any other character, I don't end up crying myself. Same can't be said for when I have to cough as a character though. I'm sure every VA I know has had that struggle once or twice. Number 13. Rainbow Dash's parents in the Nistverse are Firefly and Rainbow Blaze. The reason for this is because back in episode 1, which aired in January 2017, the episode where her actual parents appear in canon wouldn't have existed yet. Not for another 4 months or so. Same with Applejack's parents, which appeared in the Heartshell episode 4, 2 months before The Perfect Pair would come out in Australia. Number 14. 12 out of 13 songs in the Heartshell were completely sung by me. The very first song that wasn't was We Can Still Save Her, sung by Bluestreak in episode 10. Number 15. Speaking of songs in the Heartshell, there were actually 2 cut ones before production properly started. One, which would have been in episode 6, where the main 5 were worrying about Rainbow Dash, and another in episode 10, sung by Bluestreak and the main 5. The melodies from these cut songs are still used in the drama, however. The first song's instrumental became the trailer music for episode 6, and the second song's melody became the instrumental track, Gone. Number 16. The soundtrack for the Heartshell was done on a software called Sibelius 7. That's pretty much a score software where at that point I had been experienced with for about 6 years. It wasn't until my first year at my uni course that I learned how to use Logic Pro X. Number 17. From The Color Goddess, I decided to focus on composing on Logic Pro X for the soundtrack. From episodes 1 and 2, I was still learning how to play things in time with a metronome, so I would either improvise or compose on Sibelius 7 first and then input as a MIDI file. From episode 3, my timing got so much better and only improved from there. Number 18. While the Heartshell got inspired by Thanks for the Memories, the Color Goddess got inspired by a theory I had on Rainbow Dash's Sonic Rainboom, mainly where it could have originated from. Number 19. The first draft of the story for the Color Goddess was actually during the Heartshell's run back in April 2017. I recorded myself doing a little script reading of the very first scene, which didn't get revealed on my channel until almost 2 years later when the Color Goddess would reach its first anniversary. Number 20. From the Heartshell episode 1 to the Color Goddess episode 7, I mainly edited the episodes in Windows Movie Maker with some fancier editing in Coral Video Studio. But from episode 8 of the Color Goddess and onwards, I started editing everything in Coral in separate videos but put it all together in Movie Maker. This was to avoid extremely long exporting for long episodes. Number 21. I used to edit audio in one go, but when I had to wait on more VAs to send in their parts, I decided to split up the audio editing into different sections. This has become a whole lot easier for me going forward, and it has helped me get better at audio editing. Number 22. In 2021, I got gifted East-West sounds for Logic Pro X, so starting from the release of the TDD Prequels, that would end up being the current way for me to compose soundtracks. Number 23. Some other soundtracks I would put my voice into focus. Tra Godjesi, for example, is a take on medieval ballads that have multiple verses. It's actually sung in a made-up language called Goddess language. This is also used in the tracks Transforming and Color. Number 24. In the instrumental track Transforming, the words said are Rije, Oraji, Yura, Gura, Boru, Puro, and Chiora, which mean red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and color in the Goddess language. Number 25. The language also shows itself on the apprentice brochures in the Color Goddess. I rotated the text vertically so it wouldn't look easy to read. Apart from Chiora meaning color, there's Lasha meaning earth and Liato meaning light. I would also use this method in The Demon's Daughter too for certain texts. Number 26. The vocal track The Demon Caves in the Heartshell, however, predates the use of the made-up language. The phrases are actually spoken in Latin, and the melody was improvised on the spot. The melody would be reprised in the Color Goddess track Tenebrae and the Demon's Daughter track You Had to Be Happy. Number 27. There have also been instances of other real instruments being used in the instrumental soundtracks besides my voice. Soundtracks like Dreams, Lives of the CMC, Greed, and Best Friends have my flute playing featured. bonus fun fact, I have been playing the flute since 2012. Number 28. In the track The Ancient Kingdom, I have that played by an actual string quartet. It was for a composing assignment in my 3rd year of uni back in 2019. I must say that it's one of my favourite tracks due to its authenticity. Number 29. From the Heartshell episode 1 to the Demon's Daughter episode 6, there have been 183 soundtracks that I've composed so far, with 39 of them being songs. There is more coming up though in the next episode. Number 30. Besides me, there have been 39 artists that have lent their art from the Heartshell to the Demon's Daughter, and there are 7 more that will showcase their art for the first time for the Demon's Daughter finale. Number 31. The Nistverse first villain, Tenebrae, was originally just going to be an evil version of Rainbow Dash, until my voice for her got deeper so her own identity was created. My original voice for Tenebrae would be used for Grizio, who really is an evil version of Rainbow Dash. Number 32. Tenebrae starts out as a clay sculpture Celestia and Luna make when they're fillies, but when she gets brought to life thanks to Hexar's component of despair, her texture actually becomes softer like the ponies around her. Number 33. As a filly, Tenebrae has a habit of finding unusual rhymes for her songs, shown in the part I play where she sings mouses instead of mice, and in What's My Happiness when she sings the line "Who is my face" when trying to find a rhyming pattern in the chorus. She does grow out of this though. Number 34. Her ability to feed off grief was inspired by Chrysalis and Tirek, who also had feeding abilities, Chrysalis feeding off love and Tirek feeding off power. But her redemption is more like Princess Luna than those two, because of the fact that both Nightmare Moon and Tenebrae were controlled by darkness in some way. Number 35. Tenebrae's voice effect is quite unsettling. In Audacity, it's usually achieved by duplicating a line and then pitching it down 6 semitones. Then afterwards, I reverse it, reverb it, then reverse it again. The duplication I only do whilst Tenebrae is in her corrupted form though. Number 36. The Demon Cave realms in the Heartshell go as follows: failure, loss, disappointment, cruelty, harshness, and despair. But the original name for the latter was actually going to be inevitability. P tried to say this word, but she found it way too difficult, so it was shortened to despair. Number 37. Fluttershy's demon fallback story involves her meeting Angel as a baby rabbit when she's a filly. Of course, back then I didn't know that rabbits only lived for about 10 to 12 years, so here's a headcanon for you. Filly Fluttershy actually met Angel's father. It wasn't until many years later that she confused the next white bunny she saw as Angel. Why did Angel never correct Fluttershy about it? He probably eventually did sometime between the Color Goddess episode 9 and the Demon's Daughter episode 1. Number 38. At the end of the Color Goddess, Angel and his partner Holly would have 3 offspring. Their names are Burrow, Yasmin, and Neo, which spell B-Y-N. Originally, Yasmin was supposed to have a name that started with U, so the initials would be short for Bunny, but I couldn't find any names that fit. Number 39. In the Color Goddess, Nisty's voice would evolve from Tenebrae's voice, just less manipulative so it would be easier to tell the two characters apart, especially since there are tons of moments where they're both on screen together. Number 40. While Tenebrae's name comes from the Latin word for darkness, Tenebris, I decided to pronounce it as Tenebrae to make it sound a bit more fancy. Number 41. Meanwhile, Grizio's name comes from the Latin word for grey, which in turn is another antonym for Rainbow Dash. Number 42. Nisty's name evolved by taking Tenebrae and jumbling the letters around. Almost all of the letters from Tenebrae make it into Nisty, except the B and the R. Doesn't stop a few people thinking her name is Misty, though. Number 43. Her princess title, Nesteria Lux Tenebrae, evolved from the Latin word for light plus the Latin word for darkness. Number 44. In the Color Goddess, Rainbow could have just as easily had a grudge on Nisty the entire time with the knowledge of her being Tenebrae, probably not even trusting her till sometime towards the end, but I decided not to go that route since it was more important to stop the upcoming threat than bicker the entire time. Number 45. Nisty is an introvert. In fact, she's an ISFJ, the same personality type as me. In contrast, Bluestreak is an ENFP, like her VA, Pea in a Pod. Number 46. Nisty's personality was inspired by Homoda Akemi from Madoka Magica, mysterious on the outside but a damaged soul within. I had Nisty cosplay as her trick-or-treating with Rainbow and Bluestreak last year for Halloween. Number 47. While coming up with Nisty's design, I actually referenced an old piece of unreleased vector art from 2017. Her vest was actually supposed to be like the royal attire the princesses wear, Kind of foreshadowing considering what she would be at the end of the Color Goddess, huh? Number 48. Nisty's favorite food is chocolate cupcakes, since that was the very first food she tried after she was brought to life by the component of despair. Not a bad first food to have in my opinion. Number 49. Nisty is bisexual. She was first confirmed this during the Color Goddess episode 8 blooper reel. Number 50. I used to be a Pinky Dash shipper. The decision to ship Nisty and Rainbow together didn't happen until I got introduced to the Owl House and fell in love with Lumity. Let's just say I got inspired by that, plus the fact I got into a relationship myself, to finally start shipping them. Look at them! They're so freaking cute! Number 51. In Nisty and Rainbow's first duet Is This What I Wanted, Nisty's harmony is at the bottom, with Rainbow's at the top. This symbolizes that Nisty is willing to support Rainbow on the journey ahead. However, from their second duet together, Your Pain Is Mine, their parts are switched, since their roles have also been reversed, with Rainbow instead supporting Nisty's journey. Number 52. Speaking of harmonies, the main 5 harmonies from the Demon's Daughter's 4th song, She'll Be Okay, were inspired by my cover series Main 6 a cappella, which ran from 2017 to 2022. Number 53. The names from the goddesses, Hurika, Satura, and Lumina, evolved from color codes. Hurika from hue, the color spectrum, Satura from saturation, how much color is used, and Lumina from lume, the amount of light. Given what their abilities and purposes are, this works way too well. Number 54. I absolutely love creating songs for the goddesses, and their ranges fit perfectly for 3-part harmonies. My default is usually Satura down the bottom, Hurika in the middle, and Lumina up the top. Number 55. Hexar's name has been speculated to be referencing the Hex Code, continuing the theme of his sister's names being art program references. But in all honesty, I just came up with his name on the spot, so it's mainly a coincidence that it also connects to hex codes. Number 56. Hexar is inspired by 2 antagonists, Belos from the Owl House and Bondrewd from Maiden Abyss. All 3 of them are so absorbed in what they believe is right that they've lost sight of what they're doing is morally wrong. It's like they believe they're the protagonist themselves. Honestly, that's my favorite kind of villain. Not like the typical villains who know that they're doing evil but continue to do it anyway. Number 57. The 7 deadly sins portrayed in The Demon's Daughter are almost the same as the usual sins. Envy, gluttony, greed, and lust are all the same. But tyranny was inspired by pride, disharmony was inspired by sloth, and despair was inspired by wrath. Number 58. I was also considering having the Dazzlings featured as apprentices, but I quickly ditched that idea since I didn't want to focus on the Equestria Girls universe, even if they were a cameo in the Season 7 finale. Number 59. The names for King Sephiros, Liako, Brucus, Arcus, Dira, King Lucho, and Queen Suelia evolved from another made-up language, ancient Canem language. Sephiros meaning ferocious, Liako meaning little, Brucus meaning brute, Arcus meaning armor, Dira meaning beloved, Lucho meaning moon, and Suelia meaning sun. Number 60. Canems are a mutant species crossed between dogs and dragons. It wasn't until much later I would differentiate between males and females. Male Canems are dark in color with horns. They would also hatch out of dark-colored eggs. Females, however, are bright in color and have fluffy ears. They would hatch out of brightly colored eggs. This would also explain how Dira knew she had a daughter before Liako would hatch. Number 61. Besides me, a total of 52 voice actors have voiced throughout Nistverse run, starting from the Heartshell episode 6 up until the 3rd Demon's Daughter short. Number 62. In the Nistverse run, not including the characters I voice, 12 supporting characters have kept the same VA without needing a replacement throughout multiple episodes. Bluestreak, Princess Cadence, Shining Armor, Soren, King Sephiros, Queen Dira, Hexar, Queen Chrysalis, King Hesperus, Queen Aurora, Lord Tirak, and King Sombra. Number 63. Bluestreak's VA Piana Pod has stayed the longest to play her, first making her debut in episode 7 of the Heartshell back on the 25th of July 2017. Her original name was Peacock Studios. Blue's design looking similar to her VA was purely coincidental. Number 64. Though Piana Pod plays Bluestreak's young self, I actually play her elderly form. This comes into play the most when it's revealed that Tank is elderly Bluestreak reincarnated as a tortoise. Number 65. Bluestreak has also had the record of being the youngest recruit to become a fully fledged Wonderbolt at only 18 years old. That didn't come without its fair share of trials though, crashing into the cafeteria as a prime example. Number 66. Bluestreak is able to survive a lightning strike twice, shown first in her backstory, then the Heartshell Christmas special, though the latter one is actually not canon to the overall story. Number 67. Bluestreak has an older sister called Rouge Flame. In Bluestreak's backstory, she was voiced by P's actual sister. While both Rouge and Blue were OCs created by me, P created the OC designs for their parents, Sunny Days and Whisper Nights. Number 68. All three of Bluestreak's family members briefly appear in the non-canon Color Goddess short Bluestreak at the Oscars, though they don't have any speaking roles. Number 69. Bluestreak's husband, Rainbow Dash's grandfather, is named Thunderstark. He's another OC by P in a pod that doesn't appear in the Nistverse properly. It is mentioned in the description of a few images on my DeviantArt that he was killed in a tornado accident while their daughter, Firefly, was only a baby. Number 70. The reason why I made Bluestreak a genie in the Color Goddess was mainly due to P in a pod begging me to bring her back somehow, and the rest is history. Number 71. Bluestreak loves donuts, though I don't really remember the inspiration as to why that is the case. Number 72. P also jokes about Bluestreak being addicted to drugs and alcohol, though this is not completely canon. I have joked about those traits in the nutshell versions of the Heartshell and the Color Goddess, with her stick pony counterpart saying drugs after every sentence. Number 73. 8 characters have had 2 voice actors play them. Princess Luna, Scootaloo, Sweetie Belle, Guard 1 in the Color Goddess, Spitfire, Hyudoka, Satura, and Discord. Number 74. Princess Luna's first VA was actually me until Flutter Rose took over the role from episode 6 of the Heartshell. Number 75. Luna ends up pronouncing Tenebrie's name wrong despite giving her the name. This is a fault of Flutter Rose reading the name as Tantabus, like the demon in the episode Do Princesses Dream of Magic Sheep. Some other VAs have been known to pronounce her name wrong too, but I was at a stage where I wasn't sure I'd have them get back to me about retakes, even in The Demon's Daughter. I ended up writing that name phonetically in the scripts, except for the character's I voice. Number 76. As a contrast to Luna, Spitfire and Satura were the characters I took over when Luna Bruce and Darling Moon VA, who had played them originally, stepped down from those roles. Number 77. Hyudoka was played by Heartsy Artsy, who also provided art for the Color Goddess from episode 6 up until episode 8. From the third Color Goddess prequel, Sugar Cloud took over the role. Number 78. Out of all the goddesses, Lumina is the only one to have the original voice actress throughout the Color Goddess and the Demon's Daughter, Ice Gaze. The only exception is the Color Goddess episode 6, when I had to fill in some singing lines for the song Our Journey Must Begin, hence why I didn't mention her in fact number 62. Number 79. Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle were played by Pupcake1001 and Dolphin Wave X respectively until episode 3 of the Color Goddess, where they were replaced by Quirky Craft and Dark Knight Princess. Number 80. The first guard in the Color Goddess was originally played by Arcania Shade. He also played Arcus and the past Canem guard in episode 2. Sour Patch King happily stepped in for all 3 of those roles from episode 8 of the Color Goddess and onwards. Number 81. Discord was played by Brian Random VA throughout the Color Goddess and the first half of the Demon's Daughter. He also lent his voice to Brucus through the same amount of time. When he stepped down, Bluecoat VA took the role of Discord, with Matthew Lee taking the role of Brucus. Number 82. Brucus and Arcus are known as Pixie Canems. Pixie Canems formed when King Sephiroth was trying to find a spell to get his citizens to live long enough without food. He tried it on one of his guards plus the guard's family, which got them to shrink in size and change their eyes to red. The other Canems vacated afterwards. King Sephiroth would later try this spell on the 3 nurses that helped deliver Liako's egg, and it would be successful. Number 83. One of the nurses besides Scribbler Productions and Marianne Studios is played by my own mother, titled Lilac Lavender for credit. Number 84. Brucus, Arcus, King Sephiroth, and Spike all have different voice actors for when they're children versus when they're adults. I actually do the voices of all 4 of those characters when they're children. Brian Random VA, then Matthew Lee, Arcania Shade, then Sour Patch King, Narrator Pony, and Little Owl do the adult voices of Brucus, Arcus, King Sephiroth, and Spike respectively. Number 85. Liako is the only character to have 3 separate voice actresses while not having the actual character age that much. She's 15 in the Color Goddess, while 20 in the Demon's Daughter. During most of the Color Goddess, she's played by Kenzie Main, except episode 4 when I had to fill in for her. When the Demon's Daughter started, Agent Zero Fluffy would take over the role when Kenzie stepped down. Number 86. Unlike the rest of the Canems, which are around 50 to 100 feet tall in the Color Goddess, Liako only reaches 6 to 8 feet, so she was the equivalent of a mouse running around. I decided to shrink everyone else to match her height in the end just to make conversations easier in the future. Number 87. Agent Zero Fluffy also does the voice of Liako's mother, Dira, as well as Dira's younger voice. But other minor characters she voices are a grandmother spirit in the Color Goddess episode 6, a bird in episode 8, an elderly Canem plus one of the orphanage bullies in the second prequel, and a nurse in the Demon's Daughter episode 2. Number 88. She also does the singing voice of Queen Chrysalis since her speaking VA, Pretty Pegasus Wings, can't sing herself. Number 89. Queen Dira's illness and later death was inspired by one of my favorite animes, Clannad, mainly Nagisa, where, spoiler alert, she dies giving birth to her daughter. Number 90. Liako's father, King Sephiroth, also shares his VA with Shining Armor. Both characters are played by narrator Pony. He also plays Big Mac in the Color Goddess episode 9 as a minor role. Number 91. King Sephiroth's design was black and white mainly because I chose to showcase him in a silhouette. It wasn't until much later when I decided to give him an actual design for his uncorrupted state. Number 92. The white triangle on King Sephiroth's forehead was originally supposed to be a third eye, which would also be his weakness, but the more I developed his character, I just changed it to more of a birthmark. It's upside down in his corrupted form, but it is the right side up when he's normal. Number 93. Lightning Spirit VA also has 2 roles underneath her belt. She plays Lord Tyrek as well as Celestia and Luna's father, King Hesperus. She used to be known as Thunderspeak VA before she came out as a trans woman in 2023. Number 94. Pretty Pegasus Wings has the most supporting roles besides me with 3 separate characters. She voices Princess Cadence, Queen Chrysalis, speaking voice only, and Queen Aurora. Another thing that all 3 of them have in common, besides their voice actress, is that they're mothers in some way. Number 95. Before they became alicorns, Aurora was a unicorn and Hesperus was a Pegasus. They were made alicorns by the goddesses that wanted a mixture of all 3 races to break the spell Hexar was putting on the ponies. Number 96. Despite being alicorns, however, King Hesperus and Queen Aurora are canonically weaker than their daughters, hence why they couldn't escape a burning building with their magic, and why they needed to be protected from Tenebrie's powered-up self. This would also lead to their demise. Turns out the first alicorns were not as OP as everyone thought. Number 97. The reasoning for this is that after they used their powers to get the ponies on the side of good for a long time, Hexar's spell on the ponies only grew stronger, thus getting rid of their trust in the rulers. As the king and queen stayed isolated, their powers slowly weakened because of it, as explained a bit in the comic Fourth Darkness of 3 Lights. Number 98. There are quite a lot of deaths in the Nistverse, but did you know that there are about 5 types showcased? The first is dying but coming back to life via a miracle. Examples being Tank in the Heartshell episode 10, and Rainbow Dash in the Color Goddess episode 9. The second is dying but coming back via reincarnation, Bluestreak becoming a tortoise and Nisty becoming an alicorn. The third is dying but not coming back from it, like Queen Dira. The fourth is dying but having it either mentioned or implied, Angel and Holly, Queen Suelia and King Lucho, Queen Aurora and King Hesperus, all of Bluestreak's relatives and her husband Thunderstark. And fifth is a fake death, like Arcus just being wounded. Number 99. The Heartshell episodes were aired on the 25th of each month since the 25th of April 2015 was when Thanks for the Memories came out. The Color Goddess, however, didn't have anything too significant about the airing dates of the episodes, except for the first and last one. Episode 1 being on March 7th, marking the 10th anniversary in the Nistverse canon, plus Episode 9 being on the 4th anniversary of the Heartshell finale. Number 100. Did you know that, like the Heartshell, I've actually done something special with the airing dates for the Demon's Daughter? 8, 1, 12, 4, 27, and 5. Let's see if anyone can figure out the code for the final episode. I'll be intrigued to see what you think.
And that's 100 facts about the Nistverse. Thanks again for helping me get up to 10,000 subscribers. And I hope I can reach many more milestones in the future too. Look forward to upcoming uploads on my channel this month, such as more Month of Macabre comic dubs, and the long-awaited official trailer for the Demon's Daughter finale. Hype! Anyways, that's it from me. See you guys in the next upload. Bye! This is MuseScript signing out.